coffee consumers and crime connoisseurs. Welcome to the 10th episode of Mugshot Mornings, where we explore true crime one sip at a time. As always, I'm your host, Sydney, and today we will be talking about one of the worst stories I think that I have ever come across and have talked about in the few years that I have been doing true crime. So this one, I want to give a small disclaimer. As always, I know that y'all come here for the true crime, y'all come here for the story, you know it's really intense, but today is a crime against someone who was a intellectually disabled person. So if that is something that you do not want to hear about today, please click off of this video and take care of yourself and take care of your mental health. If this is something that you don't think that you can really hear about right now, I completely understand. I also talk about some conspiracy theories that aren't as intense. So if that is something that you are still interested in, I would go watch those videos because those are, pretty easy to listen to. In the chilling winter of February 2010, the quiet town of Greensburg, Pennsylvania became the scene of an unimaginable horror. Jennifer Daugherty, a 30-year-old woman with mental disabilities, fell into the clutches of the so-called Greensburg Six. Lured to an apartment under the guise of friendship, Jennifer was subjected to 2 days of relentless and sadistic torture. The group humiliated her, beat her, and forced her to ingest vile mixtures of bodily fluids and cleaning supplies. As their cruel game escalated, they shaved her head, painted her face with nail polish, and bound her with Christmas lights. The ordeal culminated in a savage murder, with Jennifer being stabbed repeatedly before her lifeless body was stuffed into a garbage can and discarded in a school parking lot. This heinous crime, perpetrated by 6 conspirators against a 30-year-old victim with the mind of a 14-year-old, will go down as one of the most infamous cases in true crime history. I know that intro was intense, and I absolutely have no idea how to transition into the coffee talk, but I guess we're just gonna have to do it. Sorry, I have a monitor now, and which my camera has like a flip screen. I use a Sony ZV-1 Mark II, but I have been having trouble figuring out because the very first video that I did was actually really, really, really spot on. Was really, really, really spot on, but then literally the next episode, which I was the most excited about, the camera quality was so horrible. I don't know what happened. What did I make today? My espresso machine is still watery. For anyone who listened to last episode and I talked about it, no one gave me suggestions on how to fix it. So if y'all want me to have watery coffee, y'all are going to hear about it every single time until someone tells me an idea to fix it. I made a brown sugar vanilla latte with oat milk. And she's good. That was for my ASMR cuties. She's a little strong, and I love me some strong coffee. But Lord, she is kicking. That'll put some hair on your chest. I have an update. This past week, I don't even know why I'm laughing because it's actually not funny, but this past week, we had to spend $600 on our AC unit. That is worse than heartbreak. That is it, y'all. When my husband was here, because for the past weeks before, this happened on Monday. It is today is Saturday. The AC guy came out. Our Freon levels were low, so he had to put 4 pounds of Freon at $65 a pound. Also, our coals needed to be cleaned, which Aaron and I thought that we cleaned them, but he was like, actually, no, you didn't. Like, when I say, we took apart our AC unit to clean the coals, and this man just came in and just, sprayed it down, and it was fine. That was $200 just for that, and I think it took him maybe 10 minutes. What do you mean? So, that, on top of, it was $90 just for him to come out. You know what? Hey, Mom, I know you're listening. Why did you let me grow up? As soon as I turned 18, you should have just let me go. Like, to heaven. I'm so tired of spending money. Oh my God. Another update. Why did my birds aren't real conspiracy theory video not do well? I was actually really, that is one of my most favorite videos because I was so excited to film it and it flopped. Y'all let it flop. Boo. Why did y'all let that flop? That is such a good video. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Please go away. And then come back. I'm so sorry, y'all. I don't know what's going on. I think it's this, bro. Like, when I say, I put an extra shot in here because I'm like, maybe it won't be as watery. I'm wired. Okay, I'll be up for the next 2 days. And it's crazy because coffee normally doesn't have that effect on me. I'm normally really good. Don't know what's going on. So, I used to do the cinematic vlog. Here, I'll show you the difference. Here is the difference. This is what I used to film as. I'm trying out the other one. To the next thing. I'm trying this out to see what other people like. So if y'all like this setting better, let me know. Also, I have another shelf that's supposed to go right here, but I have not put it up yet. It's literally over there. Let me know what you like better. Do you like the cinematic vlog or do you like the full thing? For the podcast listeners who listen on like podcast platforms and they're on YouTube, y'all don't know what I'm talking about? That's fine. This is for my YouTubers. Okay, let's transition into this story because it's a long one, you guys. I got 16 pages of a script that I wrote for this story. It's very long. So yeah, let's get into today's story. Just again, prepare yourself. This is a pretty intense case. So I know that my introduction and everything, the updates was funny, but now we're going to get back to being serious and talking about this case. So when I say her last name, I have heard it 5 different ways. If I am saying it incorrectly, please know from the bottom of my heart, like, I'm talking about a victim. This is how the majority that I have heard said it, but everyone has said it in so many different accents. So when I say her last name, I mean no disrespect if I am saying it incorrectly. I am saying it as how I have heard it multiple times, but there have been 4 to 5 different ways of saying this last name. It is spelled Daugherty. I have heard it as Daugherty. I have heard it as Daugherty. I just know, please, I'm very sorry if I am saying this incorrectly. This case does start in Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania on November 8th, 1979, when Jennifer Lee Daugherty was born. Jennifer had 2 siblings, Joy and Jamie, but her parents separated when her mother remarried, and she gained a stepbrother. Jennifer had a very happy home life in childhood, but due to an unspecified intellectual disability, she was always quite behind and seemed way more immature than her peers. This made things really hard for her growing up. In school, she was involved in special education classes and had a hard time fitting in due to her not really understanding the social cues. Unfortunately, because of this, Jennifer was bullied, mocked, and called names. When Jennifer was in 5th grade, she once returned home with gum knotted in her hair because a high schooler had placed it in there, and that was another time that she had been a victim to bullying. Even though Jennifer was bullied, she didn't really understand that bullying was people being mean to her. She never got upset because she truly didn't understand. She continued to be very happy and her smiley self. She was very caring, loving, and trusting, that she saw this as playing and truly just saw the best in people. Her family said that she would turn up the radio and sing really loudly, and which it made the dogs howl the tune with her. And also her family said that she would rather dance wherever she walked rather than walk. She wanted to dance her way to her next destination. Overall, Jennifer did not have a single mean bone in her body. Jennifer was known to love sports, games, and her family. She would wait at the mailbox at the end of the driveway for her stepdad to get home, and she was so excited to talk to everyone about how their day went. She genuinely cared and wanted to know how your day was and how you were doing, and she consistently asked her family these questions. Jennifer always expressed how she wanted to grow up one day and have her own family with a husband, kids, and a nice job. But due to Jennifer's delayed mentality, she had trouble keeping jobs. Jennifer never let this stop her, though. She remained positive and determined to one day become a certified mechanic. Jennifer's mentality after high school and the remainder of her adult life stayed the same as a preteen, roughly between the ages of 12 to 14 years old. It was like she never really mentally grew past these ages despite her physical growth into a woman, which again, never stopped her. In November 2009, Jennifer turned 30 years old. She had been working for months to finally be able to move out of her parents' home and afford her own place. She started to be able to do things alone and by herself, such as attending doctor's appointments and even becoming a member of a club specifically for individuals like Jennifer. This club was called West Point, and it was located in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, and it helped its members with therapy, social interactions, and amongst other things for individuals struggling like Jennifer, aka maybe people with IDD, with different personality disorders, people with Down syndrome, things like that. Jennifer's mother, Denise, struggled in the beginning with her daughter trying to do things independently. Not in a controlling way, but more so out of fear and worry about how Jennifer will do as an independent adult with the mind of a child. That was her feeling at first, but the more she saw Jennifer come home and tell stories about the club that she was at and all of the friends she was meeting, Denise was really happy for her daughter. 2 names were repeated when Jennifer came home: Peggy Miller and Angela Marinucci. Angela was 17 years old, so she and Jennifer got along really well despite the physical age gap. Now, Jennifer, again, did have the mind of someone roughly Angela's age of 17, so they did click quickly. Angela lived with Peggy, who was 27, and so the 3 became a pretty close trio. Jennifer was very excited to have friends and have a sense of belonging for the first time ever. The 3 hung out regularly around Greensburg, and this was all very new for Jennifer. Jennifer even made a Facebook post that explained how this was her time and that she could do anything. February 8th, 2010 was the last time that Jennifer's family would see her. She told her family she had a doctor's appointment the next day, so she was going to take a bus into town and have a sleepover with her friends the night before. After her appointment, she would return home. Her stepfather offered to walk her to the bus station since her mother was gone when she would be leaving. She wrote a note to her mother that stated, "Mom, I hope that you have a good day at work, and I also love you very much. I will talk with you sometime later. Jennifer," in which the dot over the I in her name was replaced with a heart. Also on the note was the address of the house that she would be staying at that night. So as it seemed, it was another ordinary morning. Nothing eerie, nothing out of the ordinary, just a normal day. The address in which Angela and Peggy lived at was 428 North Pennsylvania Avenue, apartment 2. However, they were not the only 2 people who lived there. 4 other individuals lived at the address as well. 23-year-old Ricky Smirnez, 20-year-old Amber Madinger, 20-year-old Melvin Knight, and 36-year-old Robert Masters. Now, I want to just have you accept my apology as of right now when I say that these 6 individuals who lived in this house are absolute pieces of shit, scum of the earth, disgusting, vile, heinous individuals. I know it's a foreshadow, but... So 2 of the individuals in the home was Amber and Melvin, who were together, and they had a child on the way. Amber was pregnant, and in later letters that she wrote to the judge, she roughly explains her childhood and how rough it was for her growing up. She told the judge that she lived in shelters due to her mother abusing her since she was a baby, and how her mother also attempted to sell her to the neighbor in order to pay the bills. One of the shelters was actually in Washington State, and this is where she met Melvin Knight. Melvin was not on the best path, and he struggled with mental health his whole life. His father was addicted to drugs and was in and out of prison during his childhood. When Melvin was 5 years old, he fell out of a moving vehicle and suffered a traumatic brain injury, which led to a lifelong struggle with learning and social problems. Nothing is known about Melvin's mother, but it is clear that Melvin did not have a stable home life. After the couple met in Washington and fell in love, they decided to move across the country to Pennsylvania together. Now, I couldn't find why the two decided to go to Pennsylvania, but this is when they met another perpetrator in this case, Ricky Smirnes. Now, Ricky and Melvin briefly knew each other because they were incarcerated together at one point in Washington. So, when the two were in Pennsylvania together, it was nice having someone that Melvin briefly knew, and they spent a lot of time at Ricky's apartment. They were not living with Ricky, they were actually staying at a hotel very close to the apartment, and they were over at his place so much that you could roughly say it was like they were living there. Ricky also had an unstable childhood. His mother was a sex worker and his father was involved in a gang. Both of his parents abused drugs and were consistently involved in crime. They never made Ricky a priority, and he never got the proper care that a child needs and deserves. Ricky was moved around to different foster homes and eventually was adopted when he was 10 years old. It is said that he struggled with mental problems since the age of 4 due to the trauma and neglect from his biological parents. His adopted family did try to seek professional help, but Ricky experimented with drugs and alcohol as a self-medicating tactic. Ricky later confirms that the first time he had used various drugs and alcohol was only when he was 6 years old. Ricky had racked up some charges including burglary and sexual assault charges only at the age of 11. By age 10, he was diagnosed with PTSD and had already underwent 103 therapy sessions. So yeah, Ricky did have some problems and had a very sad life, but this in no way justifies what he later does. When Ricky was 20, he was actually dating 17-year-old Angela, who I had mentioned earlier as one of Jennifer's friends in the trio that was with Peggy. Angela did not get along with her mother, and she was hit by a truck when she was 15 years old. She also struggled with depression, was known to have a very quick temper, was volatile, angry, and was just known for fighting. Because of this, she found herself at the group West Place, which all in all is how she met Jennifer. So that is the group, aka the Greensburg Six. The very nice, kind, loving, unproblematic Jennifer was wrapped up in these individuals' lives. As she didn't know their past or background, she was just very happy to have a group of friends and have belonging. Jennifer kind of developed a crush on Ricky, Angela's boyfriend. Some articles stated that Ricky and Jennifer also had a brief sexual relationship, but again, that is alleged. However, it is known that Jennifer was not really secretive about her feelings towards Ricky. Keep in mind that Jennifer does not have the normal societal cues and norms or mental capacity that most individuals have. She was 30, but mentally she was a young teenage girl who suffered from the intellectual disability. She didn't know that it was wrong to have feelings and wants towards her friend's boyfriend. Angela, of course, who is known to be very angry, did not appreciate Jennifer being so open about wanting Ricky. Again, had temper problems and frequently expressed her hatred for Jennifer, despite the two being really good friends. She would really talk negatively about Jennifer to the other members of the group behind Jennifer's back. It eventually developed into Angela wanting to teach Jennifer a lesson. So that fateful night that Jennifer was just expecting a sleepover with her friends turned into something much more gruesome. When Jennifer stepped off the bus, she was greeted by Peggy, Angela, Ricky, and Robert. However, all 6 individuals be at the house that night and greet her when she was at the apartment. Amber claims that it was very off from the start and Angela and Jennifer had a tenseness to them. It is probably best described as being really one-sided because, Angela has a lot of hatred towards Jennifer, but Jennifer never reciprocated those feelings and never understood that Angela was mad at her. Again, I do have to assert many times that Jennifer did not have a malicious bone in her body and also had the mind of a teenager. In the beginning of the evening, Angela went to the hotel that Melvin and Amber were staying at while the other 4, Peggy, Ricky, Robert, and Jennifer, went to Peggy's apartment. Jennifer and Ricky were left alone, and Jennifer either made a comment or physical move towards Ricky, which he did not give in to. I could not find what she said or what she did, but either way, Ricky rejected this, which really confused Jennifer. Allegedly, the 2 individuals were discussing marriage over text. which, by the way, Ricky was already married to another woman while he was dating Angela and allegedly was having a sexual relationship with Jennifer. But in all actuality, the text messages were not from Ricky. They were actually sent from Angela, who had a hold of Ricky's cell phone. So this night, February 8th, 2010, seemed very normal. When Jennifer woke up the next day, she did not go to the doctor's appointment she had scheduled, but instead stayed with her friends. Unfortunately, going to the doctor's appointment might have saved her life on this very unfortunate day of February 9th, 2010. The group later stated that they were really annoyed that Jennifer decided to stay instead of go to her appointment. They had grown tired of her being around and were really bothered by the fact that she wanted to stay and spend time with them. It is unknown if this was a decision that Jennifer made herself to stay, or if maybe the group had coerced her to stay for the story to come, but either way, Jennifer did not attend her doctor's appointment. While Jennifer was taking a shower, Ricky was telling Angela about the previous night and how Jennifer tried to come on to him. Angela was absolutely enraged and called Melvin and Amber over to the apartment and told them to get there before Jennifer finished her shower. She started conspiring in the living room about how she wanted Jennifer dead and if the group would help her kill Jennifer. And to no one's surprise, these so-called friends agreed to come up with a plan on what they would do to Jennifer. Jennifer finished her shower and walked out to find them stealing her money and gift cards from her purse and trashing all of her belongings. They poured things into her purse to ruin it, including mouthwash and toothpaste. Jennifer was so confused because everything was fine this morning. What changed since she had gotten into the shower? She ran over to her purse and was repeatedly asking why. Why are you ruining my stuff? What happened? What are you doing? And this is when the group unleashed the attack on Jennifer. The group of 6 individuals started to beat Jennifer. She was sobbing, asking them why and begging them to please stop. She repeatedly asked for them to let her leave and go home, and no one listened. Jennifer started to fight back and punched Amber in her stomach and called Melvin an asshole. Jennifer was unaware that Amber was pregnant, but this alone pissed off the couple and they started to hurt her even more. Melvin wrapped his hands around Jennifer's neck and started to strangle her to death. Jennifer was begging for him to stop and he did eventually let go. However, as Jennifer rolled over to catch her breath, Amber and now Angela started to beat Jennifer with a metal towel rod. At the same time, they are screaming at Jennifer by calling her names and saying that she is a boyfriend stealer. They accused her of wanting Melvin as well, and she is trying to steal him from Amber. Jennifer was repeatedly begging for them to stop and eventually started apologizing in the hopes of getting them to stop. Her head was bleeding and she was curled up in a ball for protection, which only further angered the group. The group then dragged Jennifer on the ground and started to pour spices, oatmeal, and other things available on her body. They started to pour the spices in her open head wounds and in her eyes and forced her back into the shower, called her dirty and smelly. A neighbor called the police after hearing screaming coming from the apartment, and an officer arrived at the scene. However, after a quick conversation with Ricky, telling the police officer that everything was fine and there was nothing to worry about, the officer left. While the officer was at the door, the rest of the group was holding down Jennifer and telling her to be quiet or they would kill her if she made a peep. They told her if she cooperated, they would let her go. But little did she know, they did not have any intentions of doing so. After the police officer left, the group undressed her and threw her clothes out of the window to humiliate her. As Jennifer stood there naked, the group took turns almost scalping Jennifer by taking knives and scissors to her hair. In some areas, they had actually cut into the scalp and took chunks of her skin along with her hair. They then made her crawl around and pick up every single piece of hair and skin they had just brutally cut off of her head. Melvin then gagged Jennifer with a sock, took her to another bedroom, and brutally and violently raped her. Now, at some point, Angela needed to leave to pick up her antipsychotic medication, ironically. But Amber, Melvin, and Ricky all left to go with her. This means that Peggy and Robert stayed back to watch Jennifer and make sure she did not try to escape. Now, at one point, she did try while they were gone, and Robert called Ricky like a little tattletaler and told him what Jennifer tried to do. Now, Robert in a later interview does say that he tried to give Jennifer her clothes back and he felt really bad for her, but I think the phone call says otherwise, so I'm not entirely sure if this is true. Ricky tells the others that they need to get back because Jennifer tried to escape, so the group does just that. As soon as the group entered the apartment, they started to beat her and violently kick her in different parts of her body. They started to violently beat her with different objects, including a vacuum hose and a large crutch. After this long day of violently assaulting this poor woman, they are tired and they want to go to sleep. How could you even sleep after this? And to even keep Jennifer from escaping, they drugged her so that she would be passed out, so that way they could sleep without worrying if she was going to escape. Let me take a break real quick because I got choked up at one point. I kind of lost my breath a little bit, and it's just really intense to talk about. The following morning, Angela, Ricky, and Melvin leave the apartment to run errands. Once they returned, Angela started to repeatedly punch Jennifer in the face and told the group that Jennifer was pregnant with Ricky's baby. I feel like this was talked about while the couple was gone that morning. Maybe they conspired a new reason to continue to hurt her. So the group started to repeatedly kick Jennifer in the stomach. And of course, Jennifer was not pregnant with Ricky's baby. But either way, this group was doing this act in hopes of unaliving Jennifer's unborn child. Like, what the hell is going through these people's mind? There was no evidence to show that Jennifer was pregnant in any way. And it's almost as like, because Jennifer had punched Amber in the stomach, that maybe they were trying to get her back in some way, which Jennifer also, again, did not know that Amber was pregnant. These people are just absolutely so disgusting. Now, apparently, Jennifer had somehow gotten a soda to drink. This is alleged based on what these 6 monsters say later, but it could totally be false, and they were just making up new things that she did to somehow justify their actions. The group sits down for a family meeting on what the next punishment Jennifer needs for taking this soda. What is something new that they have not done to her yet? They decided on something that is one of the worst things that I've possibly ever heard of. They concluded that if Jennifer was so thirsty, they're going to give her something to drink. They forced her into the bathroom and gave her multiple drinks that they had whipped up together for her to drink. This drink included bleach, cooking oil, spices, crushed up medication, cologne, urine, feces, and cigarette ash. At this point, it had been 30 hours of pure torture. Jennifer was vomiting, pleading for them to stop, sobbing, and not once did anyone in the group say, "Guys, this is way too far now. Let's think about what we're doing and the consequences of what these actions are." But nope, they didn't. They beat her until she finished the last drop of this concoction drink that they had made for her. They then tied her up with Christmas lights and started to paint her face with dark nail polish. They were calling her different slurs regarding her childlike mentality and constantly degrading her. They had not tired out at this point. They called their second family meeting on what to do to Jennifer next. In this meeting, all 6 members voted that this next act would be their last. They were going to kill Jennifer. They did not want to let her go and risk the chance of being found out, despite Jennifer pleading and promising them that she would not tell anyone if they let her go. Now, no one in this group had a fucking brain in believing that this was the only way out of this if Jennifer died. This poor woman who just wanted friends and belonging, they believed that she deserved death. So they were going to stage it as a suicide. The group first made Jennifer write a suicide note. Then Amber and Melvin dragged her to the bathroom, where Melvin gagged her with a sock, got on her face, and asked if she was ready to die. Ricky handed Melvin a kitchen knife and started to repeatedly stab Jennifer. He stabbed her multiple times in the chest and ended with a final blow into her neck. He left the bathroom thinking she was dead and the job was completed. But Jennifer was alive and fighting for her life, making gargling sounds. The group walked by the bathroom and Jennifer was gasping for air. Ricky said, "Damn, that bitch still ain't dead." Angela started to tell Ricky to finish the job because she was tired of Jennifer being alive and around. Ricky grabs the knife and proceeds to slit both of Jennifer's wrists along with her throat. But this was not all. They really needed to make sure that she was dead this time. Ricky and Melvin grabbed the Christmas lights that were still tightly wrapped around her and started to pull tighter where it was choking Jennifer. They did this until Jennifer finally succumbed to her injuries. Jennifer tragically lost her life on February 11th, 2010. The group decided to host yet another meeting about what to do with her body. They thought of things like burning her, putting her on railroad tracks, but they concluded on putting her in a trash can outside of a middle school. They wrapped up her ankles and wrists in green Christmas garland, wrapped her in a plastic bag, and placed her head first in the trash can outside of their apartment. Ricky and Melvin then drove this trash can to Greensburg Salem Middle School and left her there as they drove back home. The group had all had their showers and went to bed as if nothing happened. The next morning at 7 a.m., a man returned to his utility truck to find that someone had possibly pranked him and shoved a trash can under his truck. It was lodged underneath and stuck, and he knew that he couldn't drive away until he moved this trash can. He then tried to get the trash can out from under his truck, but it would not move. This man's name was Dan, and he just instinctively knew that he needed to call the police. There was a smell, it was really heavy, and he just knew without looking inside of it that this was something that the police needed to handle. Officers arrived and confirmed Dan's suspicions. We know that this was Jennifer, but the remains of a deceased female was found inside of the trash can. This body was sent for forensic examination, and what they discovered was horrible. Jennifer had 20 separate knife wounds on her body. The examiner believed that it took 4 minutes for Jennifer to suffer and succumb to her injuries. Jennifer's family was unaware of her death, but they had been stressed out for 2 full days as Jennifer had not returned home the day that she said that she was going to, nor have they heard from her. Now, apparently during the full 2 days that Jennifer had not been home, they had experienced some pretty bad weather, and her family thought maybe she just got stuck in Greensburg. But it was still not like Jennifer to check in and say how she was or what she was doing. Again, Jennifer was intellectually disabled, and even though she was 30, her mind was not. They wanted to treat her like an adult, but her family was just too worried about where she was and what could have happened. They had no idea that her so-called friends had been torturing her since they had last seen her. Jennifer's family was planning on driving to Greensburg in hopes of maybe finding Jennifer just stranded at the apartment that she was staying at, and she couldn't get home due to the snowstorm. As they were packing and planning this into action, the news broke on TV that a body was discovered at a middle school in Greensburg. The family was really worried at first because Jennifer was in Greensburg, but the reports were calling the body a young girl and not a young woman. So also, they found it outside of a middle school, so it just tied together that maybe this was a youth, like a young middle school girl, and not Jennifer. Joy, Jennifer's sister, was positive that it was not Jennifer and told the family to stop worrying. However, she still kind of had an uneasy feeling about this, like what if this is Jennifer? Things were kind of aligning, and after putting the pieces together, she contacted the state police. The Greensburg police asked Joy to come and identify the body. However, she was met by one of the detectives who took a picture of Jennifer's body, and she needed to identify the body via photo. Now, remember, this is 2010. The photo was blurry and taken on a flip phone. It wasn't a clear picture. It wasn't on a camera. So they did not bring Joy to the physical body of Jennifer, but wanted her to identify a human body through a picture taken on someone's personal cell phone, which is absolutely bonkers to me. However, after further evidence was given, such as the markings on the victim's body matching up with Jennifer, it was determined that the deceased individual who was in the trash can in the middle school and also in the picture was Jennifer. And it did not take long for police to discover the perpetrators of this horrific homicide. Police were given the address to where Jennifer was staying the night on February 8th, and upon arrival to this address, there was no trash can in front of the house. Now, this normally wouldn't mean anything, but given that they had just trash bags out at the curb with no trash can, Jennifer's body was found in a trash can, and this was the last place that Jennifer was known to be staying at, Police connected the dots and received a very quick search warrant to this teal apartment. When police entered the home, there were multiple spots in the home that contained what seemed to be blood, along with bloody trash bags and bloody sharp objects, meaning they did not even bother cleaning up the crime scene. Additionally, in the attic, police found Jennifer's purse and other belongings, which was enough evidence to arrest all 6 members, which we now know and call the Greensburg Six. All victims were taken in for questioning and charged for Jennifer's torture and eventual murder. Angela's approach was that she and Jennifer were really great friends and she had no role in her death. She stated that she was not mad at Jennifer, but the rest of the group were mad at Jennifer for interfering in Angela's relationship. Sorry, I'm getting sassy. Police, of course, did not buy this story, and she was charged with first and second degree murder, kidnapping, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, and conspiracy to commit murder. Melvin and Ricky turned on each other and said that it was the other person, vice versa. Ricky stated that he loved Jennifer and he was really scared of Melvin. Again, police did not buy this story, and Ricky was charged with second-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and kidnapping. Melvin pled guilty to first and second-degree murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy to commit murder. Both men were sentenced to death by lethal injection. Amber did not listen to her lawyers and was ultimately charged with third-degree murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy. Amber said that she would testify against the others in the group for a lesser charge, and she wanted to do this so that Jennifer's family had closure on what actually happened to Jennifer. Amber was sentenced to 40 to 80 years in prison. Amber's testimony is what fueled the fire to help police know and understand that Angela had more involvement than what she was leading on. Which police knew that, but it was finally understood. Her defense team brought up the fact that Amber suffered from bipolar disorder, but this obviously did not help. As Amber got off the stand, she looked at Jennifer's parents and sobbed as she apologized to them. On top of this, Angela had confided in someone while in jail of what she did, specifically saying, quote, "I'm the one who wanted her dead." This person that she told did testify against her during her trial, and Angela's trial ended up with her being found guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Due to her age, because she was 17 at the time, she could not be sentenced to death. Don't you love the criminal justice system? However, in 2022, she did try to appeal her sentence by telling the judge that she has matured in the past 12 years since she murdered Jennifer. Her appeal was granted as courts ruled that her sentencing was unconstitutional because of her age when she was first sentenced. She was granted a new sentence of 40 years to life for the first-degree murder and consecutive prison terms of 20 to 40 years for her conspiracy charges. She was credited the 12 years already served, but she would not be eligible for parole until 78 years old in 2070. Peggy and Robert both pled guilty to third-degree murder and conspiracy. Peggy received a sentence of 35 to 74 years in prison, while Robert was sentenced to 30 to 70 years in prison. They were found the least responsible for Jennifer's murder and had the lightest sentencing out of all 6 members. Which I find to be absolute fucking horseshit, because everyone is involved equally when it comes to the involvement and no one tried to stop it. Amber, Robert, and Peggy will be eligible for parole in 2040, but I fully believe they won't get parole either because of the entirety of this heinous murder. Jennifer's sister Joy, during one of the Greensburg Six trial, I couldn't figure out which one specifically it was. She said to Peggy Miller, "You had my sister as a friend. She loved and valued you, but you didn't value her. You probably value a hairbrush more than you valued her." Peggy on the stand read to Jennifer's family without facing them an apology, quoting, "I am sorry. I am guilty. She was my friend, and I should not have voted for her to die." Voted. As if this is an election. In the end, Jennifer did receive justice. Jennifer's family is thankful for the justice, but it does not bring them any closure, and it does not bring Jennifer back. Before I give my conclusion, I would like to give a brief overview of how Jennifer was the victim of today's case. Jennifer did not have a single mean bone in her body. Although 30 years old, she had the mind of a 14-year-old. Jennifer loved sports, games, and her family. She wanted to know how everyone was. She truly wanted to know how your day was, how you were doing, and if there was anything that she could do for you. She wanted to dance everywhere she went. She loved her dogs, and she loved life. She also loved her friends. I know that I got sassy. I know, okay? I did get sassy. I cannot fully wrap my head around a group of people sitting down and voting what to do to someone who just stuck around another day. She didn't attend her doctor's appointment because she wanted to spend more time with who she thought were her friends. They were annoyed by that. They were pissed off that she was like, you know what? I want to spend more time with y'all. I'm not going to go to my doctor's appointment and then I'll just like head home later. And y'all were so pissed that y'all tortured her and then killed her and made up things that she did to kill her. I'm baffled. I see videos of like the human race being so cute sometimes. Like I watched a video the other day of like 4 or 5 friends putting trash bags over them when it was raining and like putting soap all over their body and like sliding down a hill. And I'm like, the human race is so cute. Like we decided to go do that and like just have fun and like what good memories we're going to have. But then I remember cases like this. And I remember things that people do to other human beings. Specifically, someone with IDD. Someone who is mentally disabled with a heart of gold. Because what? She liked your man? My husband has been flirted with so many times and like has been hit on so many times. And not once have I ever been like, I think I'm going to go kill that person. I think I'm going to go kill her. I can't believe she did that. Right. I think Sassy Sydney is done. She's done. Let's wrap it up. I got way too far away from the microphone and I sat back. What do we think? What do we think of today's case? I know that I got choked up a couple of times because when I was researching this case, I had to sit down 4 to 5 times and take a break. Like, I first heard of this story by a YouTuber. Oh, what's her name? She's awesome. Jessica Ann. She does makeup. She only has 10,000 subscribers. I will link a part of her channel in the description so y'all could go watch her video on this if you want, because she does a really good job and she's doing makeup with it. I don't do makeup with it because I do very subtle makeup. Y'all, I'm so sorry if this was too much for the people who stuck around and listened to the whole case. If y'all need to go do some self-care and go to a safe space, I totally understand. I'm so sorry that this was so highly intense. But thank you guys for sticking around and watching the rest and listening to the rest if you did. Please know that I absolutely love you guys so much, and thank you for the positive feedback of last week's episode. That was one of my favorite videos that I have done. I love doing this. And I love my German people and my Belgian people and my UK people listening. Thank you guys for tuning in still and downloading each episode. Thank you. I'm so grateful to do this and surpass 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for listening again. If you are new, please be sure to like and subscribe, or if you're new on the podcast setting, be sure to rate this podcast 5 stars and leave a review if you would like. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Love you so much. Bye.